and welcome to Mums at the Table. Real women having real conversations about real issues and sometimes non-issues. We are putting it all on the table. It is up for discussion. I'm Rachel, and joining me here with their knowledge and their nonsense, we've got Shona, Melody,
nonsense,
and Julie.
Either.
Well, how are you, ladies?
Good, and you?
Good. Are you feeling like spring's in the air a bit?
Not really.
No. Oh, I am, and it hasn't come soon enough as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I got the hay fever, got the allergies.
Yeah, so you are feeling the spring. Well, today we are sitting down to chat to one of Australia's great food educators and chefs, Stephanie Alexander, and how she's changing kids and their current food trends. Independence in your children. At what age did you actually let them go off without supervision? And a relevant topic, does Christmas come earlier in the shops each year? How merry do you really feel when you see the early advertisements 4 months out? My goodness. Plus, Gia and Oliver in the kitchen making cookie dough. But to warm us up, I've got 3 quick topics to throw at these ladies. Now, they do not know what I'm about to ask them, but their responses are going to be rather raw, so bear with them. Okay, so our first one is, I want to know what your very first music album, tape, CD was.
ABBA!
ABBA, yes! What a great one to claim. I love that one.
ABBA.
Julie.
Probably has to be ABBA as well.
Really?
I loved ABBA, and I still love ABBA, and I've made my daughters love ABBA. Well, one of them does.
Oh, you made them?
Yeah, I did.
Shouldn't they just love ABBA like naturally?
No, just that, yeah.
Oh, especially now that Mamma Mia is
I've
back
taken,
and all of
taken
those
them
ones.
to that, and we go to the movies together.
Yeah.
It's great.
Melody.
No one would know mine.
No one would know it?
Hong Kong singer from Hong Kong, so.
Okay, righto. So we wouldn't know it. That's okay. All right, our second one, I want a little bit of advice from you ladies. So we're often talking about how kids sort of deal with their emotions and how they sort of, I guess, adjust to those. What is your go-to trick after you've been frazzled by your kids to calm down? Julie.
Leave them with Dad and leave the house.
That's a great trick.
That's what I do too.
You going with Julie's today?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've had enough. I woke up.
I have no idea.
Oh, you never got frazzled with your kids?
I think it was just a constant state of frazzle.
Yeah, okay, righto. So you just got used to it.
Yeah, I think I just lived in it.
Yeah, maybe I just go for the chocolate.
Yeah, food.
Yes. Okay, third one. What personality trait of yours did your kids get that you love, Melody?
Oh, that I love. Can I tell you what I don't love?
Oh, no. It's got to be what you love. Something about yourself that they got.
He loves packing up.
Packing up. Okay, organised woman here.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like it. It's like whenever he finishes one set of toys, he'll pack up that set before he starts another. And I'm like,
That's a great quality to have. Yeah. Julie.
It's so much easier to say what I don't love.
I know, that's why I've asked what you love.
They can be very organised.
So you're another organised person as well.
I hate feeling out of control.
Yeah. Story of my life. Out of control. Shona.
One got my wicked sense of humour, and the other one got my analytical, everything's got to be in the right place at the right time and don't move it.
Oh, I love it, women. Love that you're loving on yourselves here. This is good. Well, whether you believe in Santa or not, his helpers create a buzz every year. And I'm not referring to the gifts that they deliver around the world in one night, but by bringing Christmas advertisements and decorations to retailers in what seems to be earlier and earlier each year. Now, if it's the season to be jolly, why does the early arrival in stores bring out the Grinch in so many of us? Okay, first of all, I have to find out who loves Christmas. Yeah?
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, okay.
Sorry.
So how do you relate to it coming out in stores early? Do you ignore it or do you sort of go, whatever,
I don't go to the store, so it doesn't matter.
Who goes to the store then?
Nah, I have noticed it coming out earlier, and the part that I don't like about it is the fact that I know the reason why it's coming out earlier is the commercialism of it all.
Right.
And that they're just pushing people to buy. That's what I don't like about it.
Okay, so would they bring it out in stores if people didn't buy it though?
No.
That's the thing. See, that's my thing. I get annoyed at Christmas coming out early, but the reality is they're bringing it out early and people are buying. So is this on us?
Well, to a certain extent, I guess it is. But
I don't buy early. It doesn't. I'm one of these people who leaves Christmas till the absolute last minute. I know that shocks you, Shona.
I thought you said before you were organised.
Not with Christmas. In certain areas.
Right.
Yeah, so I find it really stressful because I'm going, oh no, Christmas. So,
It is a bit of a marketing thing because it makes you start thinking about Christmas. And for me, who has a good percentage of my family overseas, it's really good because I can start buying now. And I have always been very extremely organised with Christmas. And so I've already got Christmas presents underway to send overseas for Christmas, because you have to be organised. But there's a lot of marketing ploy behind why it comes out. And also you've got to remember that this stuff has been in their warehouses for a while. So they want to get it out into the shop so that the Easter stuff can come in.
Well, I know I'm all about the blame today.
This is how I feel about Christmas. In 2009, I put up this brunch and hung some baubles on it as my Christmas tree. It's still up. I have not taken it down.
That is organised.
I haven't taken my lights down from the balcony the last 2 years. I figured they're white all year round.
Got to celebrate all year round. So, okay, so Julie, when should Christmas come out in shops then? If it's coming out too early, when
1st
should
of
it come
December?
Oh, no.
No, maybe November I can cope with. I have to say, when the kids were little, I was more organised. Because I used to, try and buy things in the sale and lay by them. But as they've got older, I've just gone, no.
They only want money when they get older anyway.
So I leave things to the last minute a lot more now.
Yeah, do you? See, I switch each year. Sometimes I'm really organised and sometimes there's no consistency with me in my life. I've got to read you something that one woman wrote in the, so there was the article on ABC that sort of questioned Christmas coming early, and one lady commented it. She said, it's funny how Christmas decorations at home can make you happy, but in the shops, they increase the stress. And I think when I read that, I thought, hang on, this is sort of all on me. I'm allowing them to put the pressure on me. I should actually be in control here and go, okay, I'm not going to start Christmas shopping in October. For me, that's spring. Let me enjoy spring, please. I want to sort of wait till November when I might have some time, or December. Heaven help me. But
this is where I don't get it. What stress does it actually increase?
Because there's so much to organise. Well, maybe not you, because you're not like a lover of Christmas. I love Christmas and I want my kids to love Christmas. And so I sort of put in a huge effort for them. And there's a lot to do in that. So that's
why it comes out early, so that you can start.
I know, but do you think people should be complaining about this or not? Or should we just sort of go, you know what? Great, thanks for letting me get organised.
Or you choose. Try to choose not to let it stress you. And I think I'm trying to make it less about the presents, and it's less about the presents and more about the family and the food and the getting together, and organise that everyone can be at the place they need to be.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's you've got to find out what Christmas is all about for you and sort of focus on that, because for me, Christmas is about celebrating Christ's birth. And the longer I do that, the better. So there's nothing stressful about that. Well, when it's too early to start bringing out Christmas into stores, I would like you to let us know online. Let us know your Christmas thoughts. Christmas might only happen once a year, but Gia and Oliver are actually making something that brings a smile all year round. I'm talking cookie dough.
Is it dough that you could actually eat?
That's right, cookie dough that you can actually eat. Are you going to eat the cookie dough?
All of it.
All of it. She's going to eat all of the cookie dough. We are going to make a healthy cookie dough because kids love cookie dough. Kids love cookies. But this is a healthy version. And what it requires is 2 cups of cashew butter. We just put it in a pot over the stove over medium heat, just so that we can melt it through with the sweetener. So, half a cup of any liquid sweetener you want. This one's maple syrup. So I'm going to mix that through. Can you put that in here? Yeah, the flour. And do you know what type of flour that is? We've got to share with everyone what sort of flour that is. It is coconut flour. Can you tell everyone that?
It is coconut flour.
And it's 3/4 of a cup. If you want to make this cookie dough a protein cookie dough, you could add a protein powder to this now as it is. I think there's plenty of protein in the nuts here for the kids. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It's just mixed through, so it still looks like a butter, it's just mixed through. Okay, do you want to help me? Not yet though, don't put it in yet.
Butter.
This is cashews. You love cashews. What you do is you mix the flour through, coconut flour, until it becomes like a dough, a cookie dough. And once it's mixed through, you can add hundreds and thousands and some chocolate chips through it. And then it becomes like unicorn-looking, colourful dough balls. Oh, that's awesome. So we'll take it, roll it in a little ball. Then you'd put it on your plate, or whatever you'd have. And you can use a fork to make it into like a little cookie. The kids could help you put some chocolate chips in it. And then I would put these in the fridge for a little while and they'll be so delicious. It does taste like raw cookie dough. How good's that? Do you want to try it?
I would.
Oh, that's good. Delicious. Try these, put them in the fridge, take them to the next party. and the kids will love them. Enjoy.
Whether we like it or not, there comes a point when all kids want to do is explore, stretch and embrace those wider boundaries between them and their parents. Now, some call it independence and others call it executive functioning skills. Well, our discussion today focuses on just that. The New York Times asked the question, at what age should children be allowed to go out to places without adult supervision? Now, Julie, do you remember the first time you sort of went out without any supervision at all?
No, too long ago. I remember my parents being really, really strict about it, and I think probably I passed that down to when I had my own children. I look back and I was quite strict and stressed and talked about with my husband and probably made a bigger deal about it when I look back than I probably needed to.
Right, so you feel like you overreacted with your kids?
Probably.
Okay,
Yeah, I think I worried too much about it looking back.
Okay. So what age did you sort of let them? I know it's a graduating process.
I think it's so different. There's so many variables depending on, are they going to someone's house you know, or is it someone you don't know? Are they going with their sibling?
Yeah.
Are they, and all those sorts of things. I can remember thinking about when they went to the shopping centre on their own the first time. They went with a group. I stayed in the shopping centre first of all. Stop laughing, shut up. Yeah. And then,
There's a reason I went to you first.
Okay, you better go elsewhere now because I think I'm digging a hole. But yeah, and gradually just, pulled back.
But it is a
adults,
gradual process. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone who's sort of said, okay, you're at this age, off you go, because it is a gradual process. You sort of have to test the waters with their maturity. It's not necessarily an age thing. Show them.
Free range.
You sure you don't want to go to Melody?
Maybe. What did you do with your kids?
Okay, well, for a start, I grew up on a farm in rural New Zealand.
Yeah.
So from the time pretty much that you could get out, you were on your own.
Right.
I was driving a tractor at 8 and 9 years of age on my own.
Yeah.
So for my kids...
Is that frightening for anyone else?
Yeah, have you seen the way I drive? For my kids, I think we were probably a lot more lax than you. I don't think we were overly protective. We certainly were careful, but there were a lot of things our kids would do that probably you guys would be horrified at.
Like what?
Oh, just letting them go off to other people's houses and just letting them stay overnight.
Like what age we're talking
Oh,
here? So?
probably...
I'm trying to relate it to my kids.
6, 7.
Yeah.
Did you know the families that they were going to?
We knew the families, but even still, I mean, we've always been very easygoing and letting the kids... Like, Aaron's just come back from travelling Europe on his own at 19.
Yeah.
So...
I think the important thing is that you need, if it's going over to someone else's home, is you need to know the people that they'll be with. And the other thing, I think the most important thing for me is that he knows how to come home.
Yeah, he knows how to...
Really?
Don't you want that forever, though?
No.
Like, I mean, you send him out, it's like, okay, you can go out unsupervised, but then, it's like, oh, do you know how to find your way home? If you get lost,
Yes.
do you still know how to find your way home?
Or do you know how to find someone who can help you find your way home? Those are skills you need to put into the kids. You need to... And, with mobile phones and things these days, it's much, much easier.
That's right.
Yeah.
It should be easier.
Yeah, I mean, we bag out mobile phones and digital life, but it is easier for the kids to be able to stay in touch with us.
Did anyone ever feel pressure from other parents who were either more conservative or more liberal in terms of...
I'm always feeling it with you, like how,
You feel judged.
unconservative I was.
how relaxed you were.
That's the one.
I think it depends on their personality in that I had one that was pushing to get out the door when she was really young to stay overnight and one that I could not get to stay overnight at friends' place so we could get a night away. And I thought this girl's going to be with me till she's 30. But,
I totally agree with the personality thing because I would trust one of my daughters more than I would trust the other one because one of them is more naturally responsible and yes, okay, that's the oldest one, I'm not hiding anything here. And they sort of tend to be because we put a lot of responsibility on them. But I wouldn't trust my second daughter right now, so I'm like, I am the... But see, this she means helicopter. When she does it, all I hear is responsible. That's what I'm hearing. At what age did you start going places without adult supervision? And is it different to the age your kids started? Let us know on Facebook. We would love to hear. Join our page at Mums at the Table. Well, according to the Huffington Post, iron deficiency is on the rise in Australian women. Now, our resident nutritionist Trish Guy is here to take you through the top sources of iron.
I'm Gia, and today we are going to talk about iron. A lot of people, a lot of women especially, have problem with their iron. You know, their iron is always very low, and we are here to talk about the top sources of iron with Trish from Sanitarium. Thank you for coming, Trish.
Hi, Gia. Great to be here again.
It's a very interesting topic because a lot of women are suffering at the moment with this problem. I know some men do too.
Yeah.
But what's going on?
Where do we get our iron?
Yes, where do we get our iron?
Well, we probably all know that red meat and other meats are rich in iron, and the iron that's in meat is really easily absorbed. But more and more people don't want to eat meat to get their iron, and the good news is that there's plenty of plant-based foods that are available to provide enough iron, and there's plenty of studies to show that vegetarians, for example, are just as easily able to get enough iron out of their diet as people who do eat meat.
Yes, because I have children that I don't give meat to. So, and a lot of people I find are actually turning away from the meat and dairy route, and they want to raise their children, whether it's vegan or vegetarian or whole food plant-based. And I do worry as a mother, am I giving my children enough iron? So, how do we do that? What are the sources that we can use?
The best plant sources of iron are things like your whole grains, your legumes and your nuts. They all provide a good source of iron. But did you know that in the Australian diet, the biggest source of iron comes from fortified breakfast cereals? So Wheat Bix and other whole grain cereals that are fortified with iron are a really great choice.
Aussie kids are Wheat Bix kids.
Absolutely. And the best thing about plant-based sources of iron is that when our bodies need more, we absorb more from that food. And we can also help it a little bit along as well by including a food rich in vitamin C with that meal. So strawberries on your whole grain breakfast cereal or a small glass of juice is a great way to increase the amount of iron that the body can absorb.
So it helps the absorption.
That's right. Other ways are including tomatoes and capsicums, those vitamin C rich vegetables with your salads or with your stir fries.
That's a very good,
it's really about combining the different foods to get more iron available to the body. And nuts and seeds, they are fabulous sources of iron. So whether that be whole nuts, and which make a fabulous snack, or even peanut butters or other nut butters, all contribute really good, valuable sources of iron. And for people who are cutting back on meat, a lot of the vegetarian alternatives like vegetarian sausages and burger patties are great sources of iron, as is foods like tofu made from soybeans, because that's, like a legume, it's a really good source of iron. And the iron in soybeans is actually particularly well absorbed. So it's a really good choice.
Okay, so what if you don't have the vitamin C? Does it still you still absorb the iron?
You can still absorb, but the vitamin C just helps
boost it.
Converts it into a different form that makes it easier.
Okay, so women out there like me that struggle with iron, yes, please try maybe having fresh vitamin C. Like what you said before with the nuts, I like that idea because you can have nuts and a few strawberries for lunch, like for a snack on the side.
Absolutely.
And
there's lots of combinations.
Yes, but just remembering having the fresh vitamin C.
Yeah, or the whole grain version.
Thank you. That's so good. It's really good to hear what you have to say about it because it just helps us understand it better.
Good.
Because, we're going to the doctors constantly thinking, what's going on? So there you go, some tips from Trish. Thank you, Trish, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me.
And we will be seeing you next time with some more nutritional facts.
Do you know where the food you put on the table comes from? And more importantly, do your kids know? Well, according to one survey, a third of kids aged 5 to 12 didn't know tomatoes grew on vines. We are sitting down to chat to someone who is working very hard to change that. She's been a restaurant owner chef for over 30 years, written 18 books about food, and has received the Order of Australia for the services to the hospitality industry. Now, through her initiative, the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation, she is changing the way school students see, interact and respond to real food education. Stephanie Alexander, thank you for joining us at Mums at the Table.
It's my pleasure.
It's lovely to have you here. Now, your program's been growing since 2001 and you're in, I understand, 11% of schools around Australia. Congratulations, that's fantastic.
It is fantastic and it keeps on growing.
Good, I love the pun there with the gardens. I want to sort of go back a little bit as in to around that 2001 time when you first sort of started getting your head around all of it. What actually prompted you to start a program like this to see that there was a need?
Well, I heard the public discourse everywhere in the magazines, newspapers about how people were concerned about the way children ate and the implications of that for obesity, diabetes, blah, blah, blah. And I got really enraged because I read all this stuff and nowhere was there anything about pleasure. Nowhere was anything about enjoyment. And as far as I'm concerned, I believed then, and I still believe, that nobody changes behaviour through being threatened or having fingers wagged at them or hearing about traffic lights or pyramids or lists. And that really what was needed was an intervention at school where children were able to do things that they really loved. And so I managed to persuade, no, it wasn't very hard, a wonderful school principal to let me have a go at creating an edible garden in the school grounds and finding a little space in the school where children could actually cook simple things and a space they could sit around a table and share. And that really was the genesis of the whole thing. And what's more, it has made a huge difference. Within, say, 2 months of the children doing this on a regular basis, they did have an entirely different understanding and interest in everything to do with food. Digging holes, putting up bean supports, picking salad leaves, putting a salad together, estimating what the dressing should be. I mean, it's amazing to see.
It's great that you had a school principal that was so willing to come on board. Have you found it sort of relatively easy to sort of get this program to grow and spread?
I think relatively easy is the idea. It's a big change and it does involve finance, and for some schools they're starting very small, and we encourage that. If they don't feel that they've got the facilities or the community support to really get right in there and have an extensive garden, we say start small, and the impact that this program will have will allow it will grow organically. I'm
asking you this question from someone who doesn't really enjoy cooking too much. What is it about cooking? What is it that you find that's pleasurable, that you want the kids and everyone to actually embrace?
Well, it's a great sense of personal independence that you are therefore able to control your future, really. You are not at the mercy of the commercial manufacturers. You do not feel you have to go and take something from a freezer or in order to have something to eat. You are, after all, one day going to be an independent adult, we hope. And also you're not going to have unlimited funds, and eating out in a cafe or a restaurant twice a day becomes actually not only very expensive but very boring. And the satisfaction the kids get is amazing, and their self-esteem blossoms. They feel very proud of what they achieve.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think I was sort of surprised to read that stat where kids didn't know that tomatoes grew on vines, and I think that, milk and sort of cheese came from cows. That sort of blew me away. What changes are you seeing? Because you started back in 2001, so you would have seen a whole load of students sort of come through the system. What changes are you seeing long term from what you've done?
It's very hard to see the long-term changes, and I always said to anyone who was interested in the program, we can't promise an instant result. We're not looking for measuring people's waistlines, because that's another nightmare scenario.
Yes, it is.
It's not helpful. What we really want is young people to appreciate and respect fresh food and to enjoy it, and to make that part of their life forever. So we try to find the alumni of the program, but they sort of scatter once they move out of the primary school system, and it hasn't been so easy. But really, right at this moment, the University of Melbourne is looking for alumni of these programs to take part in a survey of how they feel 10 years on.
I was going to say, because you've already done some research into this program already. What are some of the findings?
Well, what we've found so far is that, firstly, it's voted by the children themselves their favourite part of school.
Oh, win.
Wow.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Is that because they get to get out of maths and English and PE?
No, because maths and English are all part of the program.
Are they?
They're
So they
making
integrate
the
everything.
pizza.
So
We
it's
say
part of the curriculum.
fractions. Let's how
great
many.
teaching.
If you could divide this pizza into 8, what happens if you've only got 6? If you've got 16 people, all that sort of stuff, and measuring and volume and environmental stuff. So we try to integrate it with the full curriculum, so that the schools can't say this is an add-on and we haven't got time to do it. So there's so much literacy, numeracy involved in it, also cultural understanding, because almost every school in Australia represents cultural diversity, and we try to embrace that.
Love it.
So what would one of the highlights, like have you had a highlight of doing this gardening in the schools?
Well, I think the highlight for me is watching the pleasure the children get and their new attitude towards eating yummy things that are wonderful and freshly grown.
So you've been working with the children. Do you know if they've been able to influence their parents' behaviour at all?
They certainly have.
In what
Whenever
way?
I visit a school, the parents who are there as a volunteer or just to say hello come up to me and they say, you have no idea how this has changed my son, my daughter. He or she is now much more interested in what we buy as a family, much more interested to make suggestions, and says things like, can we cook the spinach and ricotta roly-poly that we made at school this weekend? That sort of thing.
Which is great. So it's transferring from what they're learning
Trickle.
at school into home, which is what you really want to do.
Yes.
Well, speaking of homes as well, it's like, what is it that parents can do? Like, you know, if their kids don't go to school that has the program, what can parents do at home to help?
Well, provide great modelling. All eat beautiful food and eat together.
I love that, eat together at the table. I look forward to that every day. I love sitting down with the kids and sort of having our meal. You obviously love food. You're trying to get, you know, that love to sort of spread around. But where did your love of food actually come from?
From sitting around a table with my family, 7 people every night, and 4 kids, my mother, my father and my grandfather. So there was a extra generation. And every night of my childhood, we had beautiful food, some of it cooked from the garden, and I just grew up thinking that was how everybody lived.
So was your mother a really good cook? Did you learn from her?
Yes, she was a very good cook, but she was also very curious, and she liked to understand how food happened in other countries and other cultures long before she had travelled or had the funds to travel.
So she certainly sort of brought everything to the table, literally. Okay, I've got to ask this question. What's your go-to meal when you're tired or when you come home and you've had a long day? Because we've got a lot of mums watching. What's your go-to meal?
Well, for me, it's probably green salad and probably eggs if it's really go-to and no time, or fish.
Okay. Well, I love it because we all need the tips. Well, we've actually got 2 of Stephanie's books to give away. So we want you to write to us. It's the first 2 people to write to hello@thetabletv.com. Write in, let us know that you want this book and it will be yours. That's got so many recipes in it. Now, this is your latest book out, isn't it?
It is, and it's doing very nicely.
So what was the reason behind this one?
Just because I feel there are people who have somehow slipped through the net and haven't learnt how to cook. So I want them to understand that it's really easy and that every technique they'll come across, I've explained it.
Okay, because this is quite a big book. I was going to say, there must be like an amazing amount of recipes in here.
There's 300 recipes.
Oh.
And every one of them I've explained any technique that comes up, from how to prepare a cake tin to, I don't know, how to deal with a vanilla bean or how do you open a pomegranate,
You can't go
Great for
wrong.
new
You're going to
cooks.
need it.
Yeah.
Well,
New
thank
cooks,
you so much.
any age and any gender.
Yeah.
Loved having you here, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And ladies, it's been lovely to have you here. Always a pleasure, never a chore. Thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to have more topics to chat to you about next time. See you later.